Cool. How is everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? Oh, let's get some chill music up because I forgot to do that. And then, and only then, can we begin? Ain't no lie. I don't care about your fragrance. Woo-doo, woo-doo. Oh, I'll wait a bit before starting because it's not when I said I was going to start. That's... Okay, the shirt's very weird in this camera. I don't know if that's just for you, but it's like an optical illusion. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'll try not to move as much to make the optical illusion not as bad. I don't know if it comes through to you, but it's coming through to me. I was just doing a bit of upgrades. Anyway, I didn't really get to talk about last week. Much at all. So I've sort of got 2 weeks to go through, but I don't even remember the week before, so it's useless. Right, we won't click this play button until the time I actually said, because that wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be fair. And I'm nothing but fair when it doesn't inconvenience me much. Boom. Okay, we're ready. Let's give it a start. This game is great. I've been playing loads of it. You got to get all these special things. I don't think I'll ever get this one because I don't like that weapon. But my plan is to try and bash my head against this Biome Mastery with my main man Driller. So, yeah, as I said before, we didn't get to talk about much of what I did on the previous week. So I'm going to tell you what I remember from it. So on the, not this Saturday, but the previous Saturday, I just sort of chilled. And then on Sunday, I went and watched that Deadpool and Wolverine thing. I think I've mentioned that to people. I watched it in 4D. Don't recommend 4D. It's like being in a roller coaster. Unless you like roller coasters and you don't mind being in a roller coaster while watching a movie. Hugely underrated movie. Well, I'm not going to say underrated because it's doing incredibly well. But hugely great movie. Cannot do anything more than recommend it. One of the few really good trilogies that are out. It's great. And the only thing that lessened the experience was watching it in 4D. Because I was like, oh, there's a fight scene coming up. This is going to be really fun. And then what it'd actually be is me going like, oh, holding on for dear life, going, oh god, oh, spray here. And it was not at all worth it. Didn't make me feel like I was in it more. It felt like I was in a roller coaster more. I don't like roller coasters. And it showed that one of the you know, hugely popular like summer hits that's come out, that's gotten like It's done a set insane at the box office. It wasn't full, even though it'd been out for like a week, which at that point you expect all the showings of it to still be full, and it wasn't out. It wasn't full. It was barely at all filled. Like, I could have a row to myself. It was that like empty in there. So it was a great movie, but I feel like the solution that I feel like the cinemas are using by doing that is by like having 4D and trying to make you spend like twice as much on that. It hasn't worked, at least for me. And I'll say this, I feel like it's either a weird coincidence or just it must be a weird coincidence, but the what are they called? Not elevators, but they're like, they take you up automatically. The only way up was to use one of these things I can't remember the name of. To get up, and it wasn't working, and so it was just a safety hazard. Absolute safety hazard. And then all the food in there was insanely expensive, and I saw somebody mention this on a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I realized how right they were once I actually went to a cinema. But it used to be that cinemas would have arcades in them, because it would be a safe place to send something, because it's like, well, the cinemas are always going to be there, right? When now the cinemas are not good enough. Like, people don't go to cinemas nearly as much, and because of it, they are severely having a problem. And I don't know the solution, because the prices were insane, but also I imagine the prices are like that. If they could make them smaller, they would. But you got this weird death spiral when it comes to businesses. At least that's what it seems like it becomes whenever I watch it. Where it's like, we need to get more people in. How do we get more people in? Let's do X, let's do Y, let's do fancy new stuff to get people in. It's not working. Oh, well, we still need to make a profit. So what we're going to do is we're going to completely, like, bump up the prices to insane amounts, so that at the very least we're making a profit. And then they keep doing that, and they keep getting less and less people, because even the people who were going before, even when not a lot of people were going, now aren't going at all, because they can't, well, at least they're not going as much because they can't afford it. You know, and it just becomes this death spiral of like, oh, well, it's not working, so we better up our prices so that we're still making a profit. Oh, less people are coming for some reason. We got to up our profits to up our, like, how much we spend. And it just becomes a spiral. And I don't think you ever sort of get out of that unless something huge happens. And I don't think it will. Because people nowadays, like pubs, for example, pubs in the UK are just dying. People don't go out to the bar or the pub anymore because it's so expensive. And why would I do that when I can just drink on my own or drink with some friends that I ask round or something? And so people don't drink as much in the pub, and because of that, the prices have gone up so they can make a profit. But also because of that, less and less people go. At this point, you can't really be a pub, at least in my area, unless you're a pub that has a restaurant you're not making money. And even then, like, that's just to be making a living. And I do feel sorry for it, because there are people who, I mean, that's how you make lifelong friends for some people. It's never been my kind of cup of tea. But it is a shame to see these industries die, but they just feel like they are. It's funny because we're seeing a similar sort of spiral when it comes to some of the big game developers. Obviously, that was the whole thing with Bungie recently, where they've had like 200 and something layoffs or something. It was something insane like that. And I'm not the most accurate person to get all of your information from, but I had heard from a podcast I was listening to that not only was it one of those situations where a CEO was effectively like showing off his incredible, all this stuff he's bought, and then they lay off 200 people, which, and sure, him taking a pay cut or something, or not buying those fancy cars, wouldn't have saved 200 jobs in any capacity. But it definitely doesn't give a good image. It doesn't give a good image at all, right? But also, hearing that, like, the reason behind why they're laying off people is because to get the Sony deal, to get people to get the big deal. I'm not sure if it was Sony, but it was a big deal that they had gotten, that Bungie had been taken over. To get said deal, he effectively had given a profit, like a target, like a sales target that was completely unreasonable, that was never going to be gotten done. And so to keep that target and not to lose his job, he just decided to lay off a load of people, because technically then their profit will have been good. And there's literally been sections of that company now that went from being a section to being just a guy. Apparently, like, the sound design team has gone from a sound design team to a sound design guy, you know? Like, that's huge. And the fact that it coupled it with saying that they're not going to do any more expansions, but they're instead going to do bi-yearly updates. That's the death. That's a death. If you hear that World of Warcraft is stopping doing expansions, it's dead. It's just they're going to take as much money as they can from it by still keeping it alive, because it doesn't cost much to keep the actual servers running and stuff compared to how much money they make. And then they're just going to take that money as extra and not add anything of significance. Maybe a patch update. Maybe they'll debuff something that's very powerful. But at the end of the day, that's we're giving up on making new stuff for this. That's an incredibly bad sign. And so to hear the Bungie's going through that, I was never a Destiny fan. It was never my cup of tea. But it was always that sort of, I don't know, one that made me think, okay, maybe MMOs can still be a thing. You know, maybe these large-scale MMOs that get expansions and they last forever could actually be a thing. Because that's something I've definitely wanted to have. I've definitely wanted to get into an MMO like that at the start and watch it grow, you know? I think everyone who's interested in MMOs wants to be I guess, one of those trend setters that was in the game when it was in its early stages and has watched it go from that to being like a huge standout. Now, was that ever going to be realistic? Probably not. I was probably never going to be part of an MMO that's like that. Mainly because the only reason why I know about MMOs and that they're like as common as they are now is because they've gone through that heyday and people are reminiscing about that heyday now. So it was a bit of a sad thing to hear about Bungie. You never want to hear about a company effectively dying. And that's like, I don't want to be pessimistic, but that's effectively what's happened, right? You've gone from a company that like was a standout in terms of like, this is a modern MMO that's doing well, to this is a modern MMO that is now not modern because it's decently old now and is no longer doing well. It is quite obviously on its last legs. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm being completely pessimistic. And what actually is going to happen is these bi-yearly updates are going to be the equivalent of like several expansions or something. Or the quality of them is going to be so good because they've actually just weeded out all the people that weren't doing anything. Do I think this is actually possible? No. But there is always a chance. I don't want to completely disregard the chances that it's that. But I'll say this, I don't think I've ever seen any other company do that, where they're like, yeah, we're no longer doing MMOs. But we're no longer doing we're no longer doing expansions, and then them actually thrive. Except for, I guess, some of the really niche stuff, like I guess City of Heroes is now like back as a thing because the general people just generally really liked it, and so they made fan servers, and then the company was like, oh shit, there's people who still actually play this. What makes those fan servers like legitimate? Make a legitimate one. So I guess maybe it could have something like that of a renaissance, but I think it's very unlikely. I think it'll have a solid group of people, but the whole point of the group was to do raids and stuff, and to get everybody ready to do the next big raid. And if you don't have a consistent raid happening that people can like spend time figuring out and raiding, eventually people will stop playing. There's only so many times you can play the same thing over and over again until you decide that you're no longer into it anymore. And if I'm being brutally honest, I feel like I'm not the target audience because, again, I didn't like it, but I feel like it would take not that long for me to get sick of something and wish to try something new, you know? Something that I know is getting consistent updates. One of the reasons why live service games are being such a big thing nowadays is because knowing that the game you're playing right now is consistently getting updates feels like you're in a living, breathing game. It's like an early access game. Probably why the early access games do like became a big property, because you're in a game and you feel like you have, you know, like you're part of the story of that game. Just a shame that story seems to have ended for Bungie. well, not ended, but on its at near the end, on its downturn. But prove me wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong. So yeah, then when it got to my birthday on Sunday, I decided to buy this game for myself. The game I'm playing right now. And I'll be honest, great purchase. It's kind of all I just was playing over the holiday. It's funny because I was playing Pokemon Reborn and there was technically like post-game stuff I could have done, but this just took over my life. I think the thing that I like the most about this one compared to what I think it does that is standout compared to other people is there's an obvious progression system. Like, I love Disfigure as a survivor game because Disfigure takes it and puts a little bit more interaction in your hands, but also makes it really unique in its sort of the way it's done. And the weapons are really interesting, and like generally it's just an incredibly good game. But I think what this one does well, better than I think any survivor I've seen, is there's always a clear and cut goal for you to continue doing. So it's like, okay, you've done this biome, it's unlocked the next biome, and then you unlock the next biome, and then you unlock the next biome, and then hey, if you've got any of your weapons up to level 12, would you like to try out the weapon tryout, where you complete a basic mission with your weapon, except you can only have that weapon and no other weapons, whereas like right now I have 4. Would you like to try that out? Yes, you do. How about the biome mastery, where the game is significantly shorter and you have to be really good at using the biome to your best ability? You like that? How about the hardcore one, where specifically you can't level up? You're leveling up, sorry, instead of it giving you health, it doesn't give you health anymore. Instead, what it does is it makes you lose health. You've got to time, and you got to make sure that you don't take any health from creatures, because if you do, you're not going to have enough health to deal with the lowering from leveling up. And therefore, you're going to have to start like actively not trying to level up until you get healing items, which are pretty rare. And then there's missions like this, where it's like, hey, what if it was double the length? And there's all this meta regression, like if you do the weapon challenges, it unlocks like passive boosts to the damage of that weapon just inherently. And so it's like, okay, you know those passive boosts that's been really helping you around to like figure out how to win? You want to play vanilla, where it gets rid of all of those passive boosts? Okay, you've beaten that. How about doing this incredibly hard other challenge, where there's all these different levels to each of those missions you've previously done? And when it's things like that, I'm like, okay, there's always a goal for you to do. It's always interesting. And you're always going to have something to aspire to next, right? It's like me right now. I've found what I really like, which I like doing biome mastery stuff. I like doing vanilla. I've done vanilla with all of them. Level 1. Hardcore I just couldn't deal with, and no movement I just couldn't deal with. And these main missions, I just found out I didn't like these areas very well. So let's do this one. And that's not even counting like leveling up your guy, finishing missions to unlock new weapons. You know, it's got a load of stuff in it, and apparently it's just early access according to the game, which means they're adding more. And to me, that this feels like it's probably up there as like one of my favorites. It beats out Vampire Survivor for me. Just because there's more stuff isn't hidden as much as in Vampire Survivor. Which is a huge bonus for me. Because in Vampire Survivor, I had no idea how to unlock half of the stuff that I had bought the game to get. Admittedly, the game wasn't incredibly expensive, so that is something. But the DLC was like, it's not incredibly expensive, but it is money that I'm spending, and the game itself is like, there's a bunch of secrets that I unlock stuff that I don't know how to do. And I felt like, I don't know, I felt like there was so much there for me to finish and do, but that I just couldn't have access to, and it made me not play the game anymore. Whereas that's not true for Disfigure, because I know that like the stuff that I haven't done yet, take the shotgun, the stuff that I haven't done yet is either not incredibly needed to unlock stuff, or is it just straight up isn't out yet. Like whenever there's a new weapon, it's not as if I've got to go through this convoluted way of like, oh, you've got to open this box and get the tarot card and do X and do Y, you know. I'm just like, oh, all I have to do is spend the points that I get for naturally playing the game on my next weapon, bearing in mind that I've played the game so much that I just have enough to buy it outright, and probably with the amount of times I'll play the new weapon, depending on if I like it or not, I can just get enough to get the next weapon when it comes out. Oh, that seems great. You know, it's that kind of feeling that is like the difference between a game that I will play several hours of, like 8 or 9 hours of, and a game who I will spend hundreds of hours on. But hey, what do I know? I'm comparing a game that I think has much less followers to a game that was like the establishment of a genre. So anyway, over this week I had off, I'll be honest, I did a lot of just relaxing, a lot of going to restaurants, but I don't feel like there was anything notable to really talk about with them. Because at the end of the day, it was just me going out, having a nice meal. The meal wasn't particularly unique. A lot of the time it was just sort of pub grub, which is just generic, like easy to make food from like a pub. How do I get in here with this? And just sort of relaxing, talking with family. Sort of catching up on what they're doing and stuff. You know, it was a really nice week off, but there's not a lot. I have this a lot, but there's not a lot to like rave about, like, because I didn't go out and do fancy things like, oh, I didn't go skydiving, or I didn't go, you know, like bungee jumping, or like any incredibly interesting activities like that. You know, I went to a movie, then I went to a restaurant, then I went on a walk, then I went to another restaurant. You know, that was just sort of what was happening, really. But I left it feeling refreshed. I feel like a completely different person to when I actually started off my break. Because when I started off, I was the most burnt out I'd ever been. Where I was just sort of sitting there going like, I'm just going through the motions here. My body is just working on autopilot. I have decent amounts of sleep. It's not a sleep thing. If there's one thing that I have in abundance, it is sleep. I make sure to get as much sleep as I physically can, frankly. Because it's what I blimmin' live for. But in terms of like the streams we did, so Monday we played some Magic the Gathering, and I was really delightfully surprised. Obviously I did all of my stuff. Well, that reminds me actually. Give me a second. I need to do some changes on my schedule. And by changes, I of course mean turn it off of holiday mode. Yeah, that's me. Edit. Turn off vacation mode. Cool. Sorry, I had to do that. Anyway. Obviously, we were going a lot earlier than usual because I was on holiday, and as much as I love this time for when I'm working, it's not a good time for when I'm not working, because it just means that I'm sitting here waiting for my stream to be done for me to properly like use my holiday. Whereas if I get it done immediately, I can start using my holiday and start relaxing and everything. And so I did a lot of them earlier, and I was playing some Magic the Gathering because I had enough to do a draft, and I was so confident that I was just going to flop that I had even put in the title, I'm just going to go like 0-3 and then we'll switch to Disfigure, because I had this hankering to play some Disfigure. What actually happened is some incredible person joined my chat and coached me through the drafting process, through the playing process, and effectively got me through the whole thing. It's not like, I'm not going to try and say like, oh, I learned I'm now an incredible player because of them. No, not at all. I absorbed some of the knowledge that they had given. I'm not going to say I came out of it weaker than I did, but they were incredible. They were like, oh, I've only ever gotten to Platinum. I was like, I've never even seen Platinum. I don't even know how many levels there are until Platinum. I've been in Bronze, whatever the lowest Bronze is, for forever, you know? Because whenever I do a draft, I force something, and I immediately go 3-0 with it, because I forced it. Alright, we're going to go with the good old Engineer. Because I love the Engineer. But yeah. They were incredible. We made this incredible red-black deck that was just incredibly aggressive, and I absolutely loved it. But it was just like attack, interaction, attack. I buff this, it gets buffed more because I buffed it. Attack again. It was so fun. It was such a fun session, and you know it's good when I decide, you know what, I'm going to go a bit longer. Because even when I'm on holidays, it's like my social battery goes decently quickly. And so a lot of the time it'll be like, I've hit the 2-hour mark, good, because I am out of juice, creative juices. I do think we were incredibly lucky with our draft, with what we got. And the reason why I'm like, because before I did my second draft, I would have just been like, no, this guy's just incredible. This dude is just incredibly cracked at like making decks. It's not that we got unlucky, it's that his skill is incredible. And then we did our second draft, and it sort of just went nowhere. I think we took a bit of too much of everything. And so because we took a bit of everything, it just meant that we tried to hedge our bets, and it just didn't work. But I was incredibly happy with what we had already done, so I didn't even really mind, because we got 7-0. We made enough for me to do another draft from that, which is insane. I considered doing more MTG today, but I just, you know what, I just felt like playing this game and raving about this game because it effectively took over. It took over my my holidays and sort of what I was playing. So I had to talk about it, so I had to bring it up. And then after that, on Wednesday, we played some Baldur's Gate, and we made a decent amount of progress. I definitely feel like we could have made more. But we explored a decent amount of the Underdark. We met the Mushroom people. They were fun. I liked the fact that they were just sort of chill and had a bit of like, except for that one that we saw, they were mostly chill, which I respected. All I've ever heard of the Underdark has been that it's bad and evil, and everything wants to kill you and is evil and wants to enslave you and stuff. And they were just chill, which I really liked. And just in general, it was really fun. We beat a bunch of Draugr. That was fun. We sort of just explored, which was interesting to do, because it was like a lot of what I've been doing early on has been like, I don't want to miss anything, so I'm sort of just going to like sweep back and forth and so that I get everything. And so just to be like, I don't know, let's go this way. You know, I don't know, let's go this way instead. Has been just a lot more interesting to do, but I do feel like I might miss stuff. And that's always in the back of my mind when it comes to this. Like, I already feel like I've messed up some things. Like, I killed the dog. The owlbear didn't follow me, so I don't know the owlbear. And so I'm just sort of stuck here going, oh, those could have been quest lines. That I've failed because of my lack of ability to figure out which is the correct decision. My lack of decision making. Or I guess my bad decision making. I can make decisions. It's not exactly going to be good ones. Oh no, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Get him down. Get him down. Look, as you can see, I've played a lot of this game. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm good at this game. Especially when the swarms come and they just come from all sides, and I'm just like, well, where do I go? Where's the safe area? I'm trying an electric build where I just I put everything as electric damage so that whenever I buff every electric thing, it buffs everything. Do I think this will work? Yes. Yes, I do. I'm confident. I was about to say no, and then I was like, you gotta be more confident here. Be more confident in yourself. This strategy will work. Tell you what's been getting on my nerves a bit though. I've been reading a lot of manga because I've had some time off, obviously, and I think I've become old in the sense that first off, I didn't see that. I'm gonna retry this. I think we had a good chance here because I don't like there's this new theme of it's not isekai, it's you go back in time but you remember everything from before, and so you use the knowledge you've gained from before to make it so that you do better this time. It's time travel, but like extra steps in the sense that you also get reverted back into your body of that time. And I've decided that I've gotten sick of it. I was reading this one that was about a guy who was really good at baseball, and the whole reason he was really good at baseball is because he had this baseball fairy who promised him that if he got 3,000 hits, sorry, 3,000 runs, 3,000 something you do in baseball, he would just revive his parents, and make him go back in time to the point where his parents were alive, and he could, save them or something if he did this in the major leagues. And so he did it. That's the start of the show. That's not a spoiler. It's the premise of the show. And then he is sent back in time with a new goal of doing the same, but in this higher league. And so it's like him with all of this knowledge and trying to make it even better in this new league. And I was kind of up for that. I kind of liked the concept of that. And then the longer I've read it, the more I've realized that there was a part of it that I don't like. And it's the fact they've also just added a system into it. So the fairy has given him a system that just gives him power-ups. And they try and justify this, but in my heart of hearts, it's cheating. The guy's just cheating. And that's what I think is getting to me now, is the fact that this dude, he's gone into the sphere of baseball. And I don't even really consider it too much cheating that he has all of his knowledge. From being like this incredible baseball player in his previous life. That's not the bit that gets to me. The bit that gets to me is when he gets like a skill that's like, I can learn everything about this guy. If I hit the ball, a protractor comes on the screen, and this protractor lets me change what angle I hit the ball. And they try and justify it. Well, it's like, well, I still have to hit the ball. But if you were like, hey Jack, hit a home run, I'd be like, I've got no chance of hitting a home run against like the best of the best. If you were like, hey Jack, instead of hitting a home run, all I require of you is to just hit the ball. Like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to have been able to score anything, but just hitting the ball is all that you need to do. I reckon that if you gave me a fair amount of tries, like 9 or so tries, I reckon I could hit the ball. I reckon I could do it. It's the same sort of logic of like, I reckon, and this might be stupidly arrogant, but I think there's some logic to it. Obviously, I don't think I could beat any professional basketball person at basketball. I barely know what half of the stuff is called in basketball. Like, I think it's called a hoop. But I wouldn't be able to tell you what like, scoring in the hoop's called. Like, is it... Like, my instinct is to say try, and I think that's just rugby. I don't think I could beat any professional person at the sport they are a professional at, obviously. But if you were like, hey, I will give you X amount of money if you didn't beat a professional basketball, but you just took a shot and it hit the hoop. If you can hit a hoop, hit the hoop in a game of basketball against a professional for like some money, I feel like I could do it. I feel like it would be like a couple times and that would be it. But I feel like I could get a shot off and I could get it at the hoop just from wild firing from as far back as I physically can get. That I feel like I could have a vague shot at it. Because it just makes the whole thing infinitely more easier. And that's sort of what I feel like they do in that story. Is that the guy's like, well, I still have to hit the ball for it to matter. I was like, I think I could hit the ball. I feel like I could hit the ball against a professional, as I am right now. If you gave me a decent amount of tries, will the ball ever go anywhere? No, like statistically what it'll do is it either like just slightly hit my bat and then it will like go, it'll be a foul or something, or it'll hit and it won't go anywhere of any distance. It'll just roll into the hands of the dude on the first base or something. But I can still hit it. And if his power is I can hit it and then I can change what angle I've hit it from, I feel like that's too powerful. And then that's not his only skill. Like, he has other skills where it's just like, you can boost the confidence and their like chances to do what you say on like a couple people that you designate as your like subordinates in this sense, because he works as like a catcher where they sort of, I didn't realize this because I thought it was mostly the thrower that did this, the pitcher. But apparently the catcher actually comes up with like what ball they're gonna throw, whereas the pitcher just pitches the throw. And so he works as that, and so he has a couple people that he's designated as his subordinates that he boosts the confidence of, and also I think he like makes them more agreeable to what he says, so they're less arrogant. I like that. Isn't a huge debuff. It isn't a huge buff. I wouldn't be pissed off as much with that one. It's more so the fact that not only does he have this one that does piss me off, in the sense of the one that just sort of goes, I hit it, now I get to change what angle I hit it. But the fact that he's got that and he's got the other one I mentioned, like, plus a load of other ones, it just puts me off a bit. And I think maybe it's not that I'm done with time travel stuff. The more I've talked about it on stream now, the more I realise that I think I'm just done with systems that are like insanely overpowered. in the context of their world. I will put a caveat at that, like, I do like gag manga, or like manga that it's like he's powerful, but he's powerful because that's the point of the show. Like, it's not that there's ever supposed to be any form of like, oh, will he win? You know, like a One Punch Man or something, right? Or like a Mob Psycho, where like the main part of it isn't the fact that he is strong. It's more so like the interpersonal, like the stuff he's going through that is the big sort of like selling point. So in those situations, like, I can understand it and I like it. But in a vast majority of them, it's just they're supposed to show off, wow, how powerful, look how powerful this person is. But they never go through any struggle at all. And I want there to be a bit of struggle. Not like a ton. But if they lose in a tournament arc, or characters in it that are main characters lose, not just in a way to make the main character even better. So like, you occasionally have it where a side character comes in, they're a rival or like a villain, but they're on the opposite side. And then like the hero beats them, and then like they become more of just like a rival character and less of a villain. And don't get me wrong, I do quite like that as a concept, but I'm not talking about like when that character loses against a new villain so that the main character is like scared of them, or to sort of power scale stuff. I'm not talking about that, because that stuff, I mean, that's just a part of like manga and anime just in general now. But what I sort of mean is like, they lose and it's just like there's no like, okay, this now the main character's just instantly gonna beat them. It's like, no, they lost, and it's them gaining new power to or a new way of thinking, or a new mindset, or a new they go off to train to get better at what they are good at, to not lose again, you know? Yeah, and I know it's made for high schoolers, right? So I can't expect this kind of stuff to be a thing. But also, like, I feel like the ones that do introduce that kind of stuff, where the main character does occasionally like lose. Okay, I'm not great at this, but I will continue banging my head against it until I succeed. The kind of characters that do, like, the kind of shows that do this, I feel like are the ones that become, you know, the well-known ones. The ones that sort of like achieve the status of being like a legend in their like specific genre. But we'll see. I'm kind of looking forward to what the next sort of genre for like anime and manga is going to be, like the next big thing. Because if you look at like what were the big standout mangas of an anime of like of recent history, you got stuff like I guess like Jujutsu Kaisen and is definitely up there, but like stuff like Freerun or like Dungeon Meshi, where it's like, hey, we're doing the generic sort of fantasy world, but we're sort of showing you a perspective or a way, or it's being done in a way that you're not used to seeing. So for example, with Dungeon Meshi, it's like, hey, what if these people just started like eating the things in the dungeon because they don't have enough rations? And then the story obviously changes a lot throughout the whole thing. But like that one became really popular because of stuff like that. And then you have stuff like Freerun, which is like, hey, you know, what would happen if like the hero party won and the elf of the group, because there's always an elf in the group, there's always an elf, there's always a dwarf, and there's always like a priest of some variety, a cleric. Hey, what happened? What does the elf do after most of the cast are dead? How does the perspective of like elves in a world where humans die off in 100 years and they're living to 1,000? How does that work? And I freaking love it because it's something I've always wanted to see played out, and I've been like, I could never do something like that, but it'd be really cool to see somebody who did. And it did a really good job of that. And it's like, I'm wondering what's going to come out now that those things are the standard. Like, obviously, you're always going to get shonen. You're always going to get, like, your Naruto's, your Jujutsu Kaisen, your My Hero Academias. You're always going to get stuff like that comes out and will always be popular in some variety. Because they've got the formula down at this point. It's just making the setting that's really cool and a main character that's really cool. And in some cases, it's sort of just the setting. For all intents and purposes, the main character of Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't seem like he's a particularly well-beloved character. People like him. And people like some of the stuff he does. But it wasn't him that I feel like everyone was talking about. It was Gojo. And so like it's interesting to see that like it feels like it's just the setting and there being interesting characters in the setting that is the deciding characteristic, not necessarily the main character being interesting. And the longer you go on, the more you're like, I guess like the older I've gotten, the more I've been interested in the other characters in Naruto and not Naruto. So I guess that the older you get, the more you start being interested in the other characters. And I am sort of, I'm only seeing the older perspectives and stuff, so maybe the younger people watching Jujutsu Kaisen are like, what? No, I love the main character, he's great. And obviously it is a male centric thing, which the only reason I bring that up is because there's not enough. I wish there were more badass women in these kinds of stuff, because even in my favorite manga of all time, and it will probably always be my favorite manga of all time, One Piece, there are badass ladies, but for 99% of them, their badassness comes from a power that just instantly wins. Like it's the powers I dislike the most, which are the, hey, if I do X, I just win. I think it's one of the main reasons I couldn't get into My Hero Academia very much, because there was a fair amount of people that had those powers. But it's just like, yeah, if I touch you and like close my fingers, you just decay. So you better fight that whole fight just in a way that means that I never get my hands on you. Which I don't find interesting when it's like that. I don't find the sort of the mind games of like, how do I beat him but without touching his hands? Because if I touch his hands, I die. Like, I don't find those battles interesting. It's why I think I didn't get into the late seasons of I guess the most recently animated season of Bleach. I loved Bleach. Bleach was it was either my first or it was my second ever anime I ever watched. Except for the, you know, obvious ones like Pokemon and stuff. But like, I love Bleach, but I just couldn't get into the Quincy stuff because there's so many Quincy's whose whole shtick was, hey, my whole shtick is that I win if I do X, or I win as long as you feel X, I win. If I touch you, I can change your molecules so that the amount of blood that you need in your body is less than what you actually have, but obviously you still need it as well. Your body doesn't believe it needs it, and so you just lose. And I was like, look, it's a cool idea. Visually, it looks cool. I'm sure it's interesting. It does not interest me in the slightest, because it just becomes a battle of like, okay, either I find some fancy way of getting around your ability, or my ability just straight up beats yours. Those are the two ways it goes, and it's only those two ways. Like, oh, my power is I control fear, so if you fear me, which everybody to a certain extent does, and you only have to fear me a bit, I win. Okay, what's your stick? Oh, well, I'm cold, so I was so cold that your fear doesn't work on me. It starts going into the sort of idea of like on the kids like sort of playground going, oh, well, if you're scared of me, I instantly win. Well, I freeze my scaredness, so you can't scare me anymore. Oh yeah, well, I have an anti-freezing ray that makes it so that you have to be frozen. You have to be feared now because you can't freeze yourself. I think it might also be one of the reasons why I never got into JoJo either. I don't know if I like this new weapon. It requires aiming, which I'm not very good at. No, 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 no! Okay, this hasn't gone well at all. When you can't feasibly kill this stuff, you've not gone well. But yeah, sorry, getting back to the point I was trying to make, it's probably the reason why I feel like I say they need more badass female characters is because all the female characters, or at least 99% of them in a lot of things you watch, if they are badass, like, that was my own fault. If they are badass, they have an ability like that. It'll be like, I touch you, and if you feel any form of love to me, you turn to stone. Also, I'm the most beautiful person ever. Or if I touch you, I can age you to be really old or really young, so I just instantly win. And it just, I don't know, it pisses me off when it's like that. Or it's even to like the certain, even in some cases where it's like, this technically isn't really an instant kill, because it's not like I have an ability that just means I win, but it's more so like, in Nami's case, for example, she doesn't have an ability that just means she instantly wins, but she does have one ability that she does, and if that doesn't work, she loses. And that's Summon Down Lightning. Did Summon Down Lightning not work? Is this pre-time skip? No, it's not pre-time skip. I guess I'm run out of ideas. Scream for help? Hope that Sanchi simps for me? Like, it's one of those situations where it's like, it pisses me off because they're such cool characters, and all I want is them to be cool characters and also have a cool power and fight. Like recently in, oh, I've got to level that up. I've got to take it. Recently in One Piece, for example, there was a badass lady, but there was technically multiple. There was Big Mom, who was the only Emperor of the Sea that was a woman, and she's cool. She's really cool. Except she's used consistently as a joke, where there's no other Emperor of the Sea has ever been consistently used as a joke, except for Buggy, but his whole existence is a joke. And so it's like, I understand that she is badass, and everything in the lore says she's badass, and was always badass. Especially when you realise that a lot of the time where she was in her prime, and doing all of these incredible stuff that she did, she was doing all of that while consistently pregnant. Because for the amount of kids she has to have consistently been pregnant for upwards of 50 years. Or a lot of years anyway, because she's got like 30-something children. So yeah, like, all the lore says she's badass, but all of the showings show her as being this joke character who would hit her head and lose all of her memories, or will be like, you know, will be in a situation where she just keeps like falling off stuff and like failing because of stupid mistakes, and it just, I don't know. She's interesting. She's very, very interesting. Her like faction is one of my favorite factions. But it's one of those situations where it's like, even in this one there's caveats, whereas there's no caveats for many male characters in that show that are just badasses. Even the ones that have like lost to the main character, they're still badasses. I don't know. It occasionally pisses me off when this sort of stuff happens, because I'm just like, you could. I'm not going for it. I'm being a coward. Just like, they could have done so much with this. They could have. There's one character in it that I think is unequivocally just a badass, and sure, she has comedic moments, but they're not at the expense of her character, and that is Ulti. I think Ulti is the only sort of obvious badass of the group. You could say Robin, but even Robin used to only have one thing that she did. It's getting better, but I do wish for that more in shows, and I increasingly just will not find it. Because the character will be powerful, but then the main character will be more powerful, and then she becomes just she just becomes the eye candy. Like, I used to be a hardcore Fairy Tail fan. The anime of Fairy Tail is one of the first I ever watched. I think it went Naruto, Bleach, Fairy Tail in my line of stuff that I watched. And yes, there's a lot of fan service in it, but I make the argument that every one has fan service in it. Especially the older stuff, because it was literally half of the reason these teenage boys were watching it. And there's a part of it where there's this character called Lucy, well, effectively the main female character. I don't think that's controversial to say. Urza is definitely there, but she's not the main female character in my opinion. That might get me some hate in the Fairy Tail community. I'm sorry, but it's just my opinion. And I kept wanting it, and I'll preface this with I haven't watched the latest stuff. I watched the tournament where they came back after all the years and they were like, hey, we're back. We're going to take back our #1 spot. And I watched most of... I haven't watched all of the final sort of like fighting his brother, question mark. I think he's called Zeref or something like that. I haven't watched that yet. But there was never a situation, and I always waited for it, where Lucy actually did something that felt like she was doing something. Like she was being a badass. Because a lot of the time, her power is summoning. And so inherently that's going to be a bit hard to make look badass, because at the end of the day, all of your badass stuff is going to be from your summons. And so you yourself don't look much of a badass. Now, I do know that in the later stuff, she gets... And by later stuff, I mean near the end of the series and then on to this new 1,000-year mission or whatever it is. She has the ability to make, instead of summoning a monster, sort of embody the power of that monster. I understand that is a thing, but still... She has not had a badass moment where she just... It feels like she's done something significant without it just being, I summoned something, it didn't work, I summoned another thing. Now, that could be a controversial opinion, but it's just what I felt when I left Fairy Tail. I haven't gone back to it, so maybe it's changed. And it's entirely possible it has, because it's been a while since the sort of the time between what I watched and what's coming out now. So maybe I'm wrong and it's changed, but you had Urza, and Urza was badass. She has one of the most badass parts in that tournament arc I was talking about. In fact, I could make a solid argument to say that she has the badass part of that tournament arc, where there's a situation where they do they have a whole thing planned where it's like, this is a tower. You choose a number between 1 and 100, and that many enemies will be spawned in this tower. Now, there is a random amount of A to D class enemies. Obviously, with there being a lot more D class enemies, but also being a decent amount of C's, a couple of B's, and a couple of A's. And then there's obviously the one S class. And it was all about like, okay, we choose we choose, like, we do lots, and then each team chooses a number depending on, you know, what ticket they get, and then they fight that many, and then whoever's next fights however many they want of the remaining number. So it could be that the guy got a load of A classes, and so you've got a super high chance of not getting an A class in your group, so you choose a higher number, right? There's like some mind games to that. And the nerds are just going, nah, that's not mind games, it's whoever goes first wins. And just going, and instantly I was like, oh, she's a genius. You just choose 51 and you win. And then she just went, yeah, I'll fight all of it. I'll fight all 100. And then she beats it all, and it's like such a badass moment, because it's like, oh damn, that's why they used to be the best guild in the world. And that was a really cool scene, and it was a badass woman doing such a thing. But I just wanted it from the main character. One of the main characters, well, we did get it from one of the main characters, but like from that character that had been a part of it for, you know, since the very beginning. And sure, Erza joined it very early on. There's no denying that. Oh no. Never mind. I do love how when I was playing Deep Rock Galactic, the base game, on a Saturday, I was having this really hard time dealing with the explosive boys were scary. And in this one, the explosive boys are kind of just there to help you, if anything. Which I find quite funny. There's so many enemies in this that you fight in this, and you're like, they're nothing, and then you fight them in the base game, and you're like, oh, in like just base Deep Rock Galactic, not the Survivor game. You're like, oh, these guys are not like they are in the Survivor game. Come on. Yes. Ooh, and no damage as well. He's on fire. Going through hit. Path of least resistance. And then on Friday we played some more Neverwinter. And I say this every time, but I never know what to feel with Neverwinter, because on one hand, I can't continue the actual story, and so I'm stuck doing like the MMO stuff. But on the other hand, like, I'm actually having fun in the Ravenloft area, and with there being weekly quests, it's something I can literally just do weekly there, which I'm perfectly fine doing. And then doing a couple monster hunts and getting like some stuff from it. Like, it seems fun. And if it's achievable, like, the next mission takes a week for me to get enough omens to do. By doing all the quests that each give like 25. And so it's like, well, if it means that next week I can sort of do the next part of the story, and admittedly the next part of the story may just be, hey, thanks for doing that bit of the Omen bit. But I feel like there's still some more stuff I can explore of it. And there's also just a part of me that's sort of making sure that I give enough time before I start the Final Fantasy stuff, that I actually have the... I don't know, maybe it's not time and it's more just... I gotta make sure that if I'm going into this, I'm not going into this as I have to do it, and I'm going into it like I want to do it. Because I don't have this large amount of motivation to play the newest Dawn Trail. But at the moment, but I would like to do it at some point. And there's a part of me that's like, well, I need to do it soon because it's new and relevant and blah 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 blah. And I don't know, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, well, no, that's not the point. I feel like generally people would know, you guys would know if I was hamming it up. If I wasn't having fun, you'd realize it. It wouldn't be fun to watch. I don't think you'd want me to just play a game that I'm just straight up not having fun at. And so when I think about that, I'm like, you're being a bit stupid there. And I should just play what I want, right? And at this point in time, I'm still having fun in Ravenloft. Now, if I get nothing for completing that next weekly mission, and then the next part of the story takes like 3 weeks to do, or even like 2 weeks to do, then I may come back here with a different mindset. I may be saying something along the lines of, nah, this is stupid, I'm not playing this anymore. Okay, we're getting out of here. No, I can barely deal with the regular stuff, not the swarm. No. Okay, we have to go this way. Drop all the turrets. Thin the herd. Are they thinning the herd? Oh, I don't even see them getting smaller. Drop all the turrets. If I could get to that bomb, maybe they would die. It did nothing! 2 bombs go off and the green guys took no damage. Hello. Hello, how are you doing? How are you doing today? Do I want to try hardcore? No, I'm taking too much damage. Let's do a weapon mastery. Cryo? Maybe burst gun? Try the burst gun. Let's do... I like doing a load of the hazard level 1 ones. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm not doing too bad. What's going on that's making it so bad? I think I made the right choice actually choosing this subclass. Maybe I should have taken fire rate, actually. That might have been a mistake. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, we are in a bad sort of time where everything's just getting more and more expensive. The amount of times where I think my financial situation's good and then just something randomly appears. Oh, you need to get a new fridge. Oh, you need to get a new X, a new Y, new washing machine. It's just like, cool, all those savings out of the window. One of those situations where you're like, I kind of do want to have like a nest egg of stuff that I can use. Yeah, it is in a bad situation at the moment. I feel like it's everywhere as well. Like I don't think there's a place that I've heard of that's just doing completely fine. I'm from the UK. I'm from England. And we are not doing particularly well at the moment. We made a pretty big decision a while back at leaving the European Union, and it has yet to show a lot of fruit. I mean, I don't like to go overly into politics on this, but it's not going great. Okay, we're doing... Really? That is honestly a bit surprising. Do you normally watch streams about this time? Because this should be prime time for UK viewers, for UK streamers. Because this will just be after like... This will just be after they'll get off of work, especially with ones that aren't making a full career out of it. This should be like prime time, because they've just gotten back from work. But I know a couple that like are professional streamers, they'll start earlier. But they'll still probably be doing something around this time. I mean, admittedly, we're a small island, right? So we're not going to have the numbers of, say, like America or something. Which I assume the vast majority of streamers come from. That is a bit surprising if you have been watching stuff at this time normally. Oh, actually, am I going to complete that quest? Where did that go? I don't know where it is. Oh, hold on a second, maybe it's here. Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, that might be a reason why you haven't seen a lot of UK streamers. Midnight is not the normal time to be watching a stream. Are you doing like a night shift or something at work or something? Because that's the only reason I could think of to be up at midnight. I guess no, that's not true. My younger years, I was up a bit occasionally at midnight. Damn. I mean, I've heard it can be quite hard to get into the industry. There's a lot of people doing it. A lot of people doing it. And especially with like AI being a big thing, I imagine it just sort of, it's made it so that even less and less people are like using services like that. Nice. I sort of expected you to be somewhere on the other side of the world. I would have guessed Australia, but I mean that's pretty close, right? Because of the, I guessed that was sort of the time difference. Bow and bow 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 now. Do do bow now bow bow now. Bow 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 now. Yeah, no worries, mate. No worries. Look, no matter the financial situation you're in, you don't have to pay to watch streams, which is so good. You might get some adverts, I mean... Oh, I'm just listening to some lo-fi, lo-fi game sounds and music. It's one of the best parts of like streams in general. You don't have to pay a thing for it. You don't have to pay a thing for even like the highest up streamer. Admittedly, the adverts can get a bit annoying, but there's ways around the adverts. There's a you don't need to look at the have all the adverts. Oh, my name's Jack. Good old Jack. I don't particularly mind saying my name, but I will say there are some people who wouldn't want that. Ah, it's very nice to meet you. It's definitely the first time somebody's asked my name. But you better be, if you're going to small streamers and saying that, you better be careful, because occasionally they are doing the whole username thing as for like just to keep themselves like, to specifically not say their name. That's not for me. I'm perfectly fine with it. But just as a heads up, I know a couple people that stream, but they don't want their name out there. Do 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 do. I think we'll be doing okay in this weapon mastery. I think we're good. Yeah, sure. What's up? Ooh, there's the final egg. How do I get over to that? How do I get over to that one? I mean, if we're talking in a general sense, not honestly, not really. Like, I'll look at it, but I'm not like, I don't really have any interest in it. I've never gone to like museums or anything before. You know, art museums and stuff. Never gone to one of those before. So like, not really. Status effect damage. Oh no, I opened those too early. I wanted to grind for a bit more. I don't have the damage I normally suspect at this point. I mean, I'm repeatedly hitting them, but it just is not a lot of damage. Maybe more status effect damage will change it? Okay, what kind of art are you talking about then? You're not talking about like fine art, you're talking about something else. You're talking like I know, like a I don't know, you just tell me what you're talking about. I'm not even trying to. Oh, digital art. I mean, I've not really had any interest in digital art. No, not really. Not really. Like, it's never been my kind of thing. Never really got into that kind of stuff. Why'd you ask? I mean, if you've got like a Twitter, I'd gladly look at it. If you've got a Twitter, I'll gladly look at it. If you're on that, or if you have like a website. Yeah, sure. I mean, after the stream, I'll definitely give it a look. Next weapon mastery. I want this next weapon mastery. I don't have Instagram, and with Discord, I don't really give out my Discord. It's more of a private thing. But as I said, if you've got like a website or like a Twitter or something, if you just tell me what the Twitter is or the website, I'll definitely give it a look. You can't post links in here. I think it automatically gets banned. But if you have like, if you just tell me what your Twitter is or what your website's called, I'm sure I can find it. I mean, my Twitter is just my name. It's the same as my username. It's got the same picture, I think, as well. So it should be pretty easy to find. But yeah, I'll definitely have a look at it after the stream. I mean, obviously I'm not a... What does this do? Splits into 3 weaker versions. Yeah, sure. Obviously I'm not an expert or any of these kinds of stuff, but I'll definitely give it a look. Boom, boom, boom. Potency status effect damage. I don't have any of that, so we're not picking that one up. Do 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 do. Do do do. Elite slasher. That should be okay. Saying that, he's not taking any damage. Oh no, he is taking some damage. I need higher reload speed just for more to appear. More reload speed, why not? Piercing? I think fire bullets are better. Just because status effect doesn't care about damage, maybe? Maybe? Okay, yeah, I'm liking the grenades now. I think the problem with most of the grenade weapon specializations is, weirdly, because of how inaccurate they are, they can be a bit hard for crowd control, which you'd assume is what they were made for, but weirdly, they can have a problem with it. Whereas boss killing can be also a problem, but weirdly not as big of a problem sometimes. Do 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 do. Oh no, this, I'm gonna break this, and then more are gonna come down. Oh, they didn't come down on the thing, that's so good. Potency. Oh, we have status effect damage now. What's this? Unstable just increases the damage. This increases the damage as well. This one just has no downsides though, because there isn't another... there isn't another weapon we're using. Okay, I think we've just made the build just impossible to beat now. Especially if we just keep stacking damage. Oh no, fire rate was not the decision there. It was more reload speed, 100%. Do. Critical damage. I think piercing might be what we need. Oh, it didn't matter anyway. This is the final round. There's no way you're going to fire 1,500 projectiles. If all of these projectiles that my grenade shoots don't count, I've got no idea. If they do count, then I've got no idea how you're supposed to do it. If they don't count, then sure. I need to choose something that shoots multiple times, and you know the one that shoots in 4 directions? Like that, and then just something else that shoots a load of projectiles. Maybe like the homing gun? The smart gun? I don't like these flies in the base game, just instantly you can kill. Like, they're not even a problem. And in this, they're like a mini boss? I really don't understand why. Because there are other things that they could implement. Oh, nice. Yeah, I'll have a look at your stuff after the stream's over. It'll be easy now that you just be on the latest follow, so I can just click on that and see your stuff. I know I'll only be going for like another 20 minutes, so after that, I'll be able to look at your stuff. Although realistically, if it's midnight over there, you probably should get some sleep in. Reload speed. Damage. Let's get out of here. Weapon done. Don't know if this is giving me mastery points, but I like doing them anyway, so I'm going to keep doing them. Oh, thank you for the follow as well. Thank you for the follow. Always appreciated. Wave cooker. Let's go with that. Yeah, cool. I'll have a look at the stuff. Yeah, I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing the stuff. I've never used this wave thing on its own. It's always been like the third weapon you get, you know, the third or the fourth one. But I mean, it's doing some damage, but it's not a huge amount of damage. It annoys me that I have to destroy that health thing just to get this bonus. Because I don't have the speed I used to have in terms of mining. Now I always pick the wider, whenever they gives me the bonus, I always pick the wider width bonus. But I do wonder, like, is there, seeing as it's my only weapon, you reckon it's worth me taking the more thinner one that does more damage? I think that's fair. Potency? You see, this is the thing that I always choose between extra width or increased beam length but reduced width. I think I'm going to pick this time just because it's the only one I have. Now let's see how bad is it. Oh, that's not that good. I mean, it kills quickly. There's no denying that it does a lot of damage. Wherever it chooses as its cone, just insta-kills. But because I move around so much, I think I need to increase the turning speed to make this useful. And I'm not sure I guarantee get the increased turning speed. God, that damage is pretty good. The problem is, as shown by the fact that I'm taking damage now, it doesn't do well against the basic mobs anymore. So that's slightly worrying. I'm not sure we're going to end this on a win, if I'm being honest. More potency? No, I need the rotation speed. I just talked about the rotation speed being the big thing. Extra XP? No, 6% extra XP is not a huge amount. That means if I needed 100 XP, I get like... take 6 less? Is that how it works? Do I know math? I don't think that's right. I wish you leveled up for losing. Because if I leveled up from losing, I think I'd do really good in this game. Do. 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 Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, I'm not talking as much now because I'm really worried, and I'm trying to figure out how worried I should be about my damage and my ability to beat down these enemies. Because on one hand, I'm not doing a load of damage to them, but on the other hand, I am getting through the waves relatively okay, as long as I'm not stupid, like I was stupid then. And this status effect damage, I assume, is adding up. So that even if I don't kill them on the attack... His rotation speed is doing horrendous, though. Oh, is it because it's targeting the... Yeah, you know, I understand now. It's targeting the things with the highest health. Okay, I don't think this thinner one with more damage was the right decision. In hindsight. But I mean, we live and we learn. If I fail this, I know what to do next time. I know what to do. I can improve, adapt, and overcome. Reload speed. Unstable overclock. Now applies slow. I mean, that might be useful. It just freezes them. That's not slow, that's freeze. And look, I think that's good against... It's really good against bosses. Like, this would be a boss killer. 100% of the time, it's a boss killer. Okay, this is where we learn whether this build was great or whether this build was bad. Okay, eggs done. Focus boss. Focus boss down. That's not a metric ton of damage, bearing in mind that I'm all in on boss damage. Fine. Every kill is an upgrade. None of these are good. Move rate, I guess. That's very worrying. Oh, both of them are here. Okay. With how this works, I can probably get them in a line, which means that both of them are getting hit with the beam. In which case, both of them are taking damage. Which should help me. Oh, baby. Okay, more damage? More damage. Armor. Because I think I'm going to be taking some more damage. I'm not sure how much 3 armor does. I couldn't tell you how much that damage did compared to what it did before. 1 dreadnought, not 2 dreadnoughts, please. Ah, the dreadnought twins, of course. The jumpy one and the one that always throws fire at me. I mean, we've done a decent amount of damage to the small one. No, no, no. Are we screwed? Are we screwed? We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. This build isn't great, but we can make it work. Nope. Blow him up. Blow him up with power. Okay, now we wait for the jump. We wait for the purple jump. Okay, now we kill the purple. Okay, we couldn't kill the purple. Why? Okay, we killed the non-purple. I think orange? If I'm being completely honest, gun to my head, I would have said orange. I'm not 100% sure what it actually is. Ow. Okay. Just don't take 103 damage before you get into that. Cool. Always like to end it on a win. Always a good shout to end it on a win. Right, I will see you all the next stream I do, which I think it'll be Wednesday. So I'll see you all then. Until then, have a good day. A good morning, I guess, if you're up at midnight. And I will see you then. Bye!